Hello and welcome to another week of a video tutorial. This week I'm going to be featuring piecing. I'm starting out with crepe paper restoration 6x6 pad and taking out this adorable stamp from Unity Stamp Company entitled Rain or Shine. I bought it at Scrapfest this weekend and I just had to use it. I wanted it to be in the tutorial today. So what I'm going to do is stamp the image on each piece of paper so that I can cut out a different part of the image when I put it together. And now that I've stamped on all of the colors, I decided that I need to stamp kind of a base one to build upon. So I had stamped it on some craft, and that way everything that I don't cover up with my colored paper will be craft. And that's a very nice tip for paper piecing in general, is always start out with a base image. So here we go. I cut out all of the little pieces, and now I'm going to lay them on with some glossy accents. You don't need very much at all because you don't want it to come out the sides. It'll change the color of the paper. Plus, these are little pieces of paper. You don't really need much to hold them down. And of course, you have a little bit of wiggle room once you set it down, so you can get it exactly where you want it. Line it up according to the lines, and you can kind of just see where you want to put it. Make sure you always start from what you want to be the bottom layer and go to the top. For example, I wanted the umbrella to be the top layer because it seems to be the most forefront part of the image. So I made sure to do everything underneath it first. That way, I can leave a little bit of extra under the dress and under the shirt and get away with it because it'll be covered up by the umbrella. So now I'm doing her little boots, which are just so adorable. I love this stamp. Okay, now it's time for the umbrella. I was kind of looking to see what I need to do here. I decided that I'm going to put foam adhesive on it to make it really pop off the card. And I'll stick it on there, making sure to line up all the points. And then press it down once I have it in place. Now I'm going to cut around it because I kind of just stamped the image in the middle of the craft. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it yet. So I'm going to cut it out. There's my head. And for this, I just line it up with one of the lines on the paper trimmer so that I got a consistent trim. It's kind of just a way to make sure you have an even border around the image. A lot of people have different ways of doing it. That's just how I usually do it. And now I'm going to round the corners with my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper. I love this thing. I'm going to use the smaller setting. That way I can reserve the bigger one for the final card. I like to nestle the sizes like that. It makes it look really nice and really proportional. And now I decided I want to ink the edges with some Memento black ink. and that kind of helps it pop off the page. I probably really didn't need to do this step because I ended up inking the rest with a different color later, as you'll see, but at the time, this is what I did. I didn't start out with a plan for this card at all, so there was a lot of editing out, me just sitting there tapping my fingers. So I started out with an Evening Enchanted base from Paper Tray Ink. I just cut a regular piece of paper in half and scored it. Then I'm taking a 1.25 inch piece off of one of the restoration papers from Crate Paper, and I wanted to see how that would look going across the card. I decided I wanted it horizontal, and now I've had these letters out from the beginning, from Basic Art. They're from the Origins collection, and I knew that I wanted to use them to kind of go along with the umbrella, but they were too bright. So what I'm going to do is peel off all the letters onto a non-stick surface. So I'm just going to use this backer sheet from one of my foam squares, foam adhesive sheets. And I'm just going to put down all the love you letters. And now I'm taking some Wild Honey Distress ink and just very lightly pouncing it on it. The E flipped over there. And that kind of mutes it, brings it down to the same level as the Crate Paper is, and it really helps bring it in. If I put the bright yellow letters on there, they would have stuck out like a sore thumb. So now I'm going to go ahead and adhere them to that piece of craft, trying to get them in a straight line. And to do that, I used various tools, my little cutter bee scissors, to kind of poke them and line them up. But you just really have to be patient with it since they're so small. So now I decided that I wanted another strip of pink to go along with the girl's dress and boots. So I'm cutting off a 3/4 inch strip to go across the card. And now I'm going to ink the edges with some vintage photo distress ink of all the pieces on the card. And notice I left one edge of each 6-inch strip uninked because that's the edge I'd cut off anyways, so I need to re-ink it anyways. And I just make sure to ink all the other 3 because it's hard to get into the card to ink them after you've already put them on. And now I'm just kind of lining things up, seeing how I like them, and decide I'm going to go ahead and glue down my background strips with my ATG. I love this thing. I put it in about 3/8 of an inch to a 1/2 of an inch from the bottom and the side, and let it hang off the rest. You can always cut off the extra. And then this one I put slightly overlapping it. I always make sure to do several strips of adhesive like that when I'm not sure where it's going to end up. That way you never have an end flapping. Alright, so I have that lined up now. And I just realized that I put the wrong end on the card for the pink strip, so I kind of distressed the end a little. And now I'm going to adhere the cute little image with some foam adhesive. And put it right there. I kind of left an eighth to a 16th of an inch of the pink and the yellow showing, just to show that they are overlapping. And now I decided that to really make the Love You pop, I need to do something to the edges. So I took out my white pen. Couldn't find my white pen, but then I took it out. And started drawing stitch lines along the edge. My fan got a little excited there and blew it across my table. Now I'm going to cut off the excess on the edges so that I can really see what my final card is going to look like. And I'll distress the edges a little bit with my blending tool, the Vintage Photo Ink. So now I'm going to start, before I put the I love you on, I'm going to draw lines around the edge. But after about 3 stitching lines, I realized that I wanted to round the corners, and that is a better idea to do first. So that's another hint. Always round the corners before you put stitching lines around the outside. Otherwise, you'll end up with really awkward looking crosses at the corners. So I rounded the corners, drew stitching lines around the outside. And now that helps really tie in the love you without making it look like it's the only element on the thing without stitching lines. So I'm adding this to the card, making sure it's straight. I eyeball everything, but if you're not quite as if it's not quite as easy for you to tell if things are straight, feel free to use a T-square. Those work like magic. So now I'm adding some crystals to the card. These are from Queen & Company, and I like these. I bought them this weekend because they don't have the strip of adhesive between them. Because I always end up cutting it off anyways, so I just got these because they're so much easier. I don't have to worry about the little tabs hanging out, and I think they look a lot cleaner. So this is the final card. And I really hope you enjoyed watching this. You can check out my blog on today, September 20th, for more information. And I hope to see you again next week. Thank you.